It's almost the weekend.
Oh my god. That was, for me, that was yesterday. And seeing our little podcast pop up in Spotify gave me so much joy because I knew that it was almost the weekend again.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah. It's starting to happen. That association of seeing the pod and being like, oh yeah, here we are, Friday.
That's great. That's exactly the energy we want to capture.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, once again, welcome back to It's Almost the Weekend, the Scrub Daddy sponsored podcast where all we do is talk about Scrub Daddy and all of its benefits. So yeah, I'm going to start you off. Go. Why don't you tell us what you've been up to this week?
Well, I've been introduced to the concept of the Scrub Daddy, which is in fact a sponge.
Is it fuck?
Oh no, we're already off the rails.
Love it.
It's a sponge. I did not expect that. I was expecting some kind of CS:GO mod. But it's a sponge. It keeps your utensils and dishes clean.
That's right.
And we're advocating for sponsorship. Are they a good company? Like, do we even want to be sponsored by them? They're not like feeding the liberals under the table or some shit. Like, do we know about this?
Okay, I haven't done a deep dive on the company ethics, but from the things that I've seen them responding to on Twitter and TikTok, they appear to be pretty cool.
Okay, we like that. We like when there are legitimate humans behind social media accounts.
And they were like a Shark Tank. Can you do that show, Shark Tank?
Yeah.
Yeah. Originally they were a Shark Tank guy, so just a single dude who went in with this sponge and asked for like, I think it was like 15% for 200,000, like not very much, like a small amount of money to just get them started. And now they're valued at like $70 million or something.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah, or 700. I can't remember how many millions, but they're up there now. So
It's a lot. Well, maybe we need to start thinking about our elevator pitch for the Shark Tank. It's almost the weekend.
Yeah.
Investment opportunity.
I thought you were going to say, talk about our elevator pitch. Should we run into Mr. Scrub Daddy and ask for sponsorship in person?
That too.
Because I've already tweeted at them, but I haven't heard anything. I think.
That's funny.
We might have to really, tweet them every day, send them letters.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's the universe I want to live in, where this ham-fisted podcast is sponsored by a multi-million-dollar company.
Yes, very good.
But no, I've been good, man. I've just been like, chipping away at life stuff. Been playing The Evil Within. That game. That game fucking rules. It's just got really good game design. It's simple, but every element feeds into itself. It's janky as fuck. Embrace the jank.
Oh yeah, what sort of jank are we talking?
Like, it's pretty jank. Whenever I talk about Dark Souls, I talk about it like I talk about a wounded puppy. Like I've just got a lot of sympathy for it despite its jankiness. Like, right. When you heal in the first Dark Souls, you stop moving. Like, you have to stand still to heal. And there's just all these little movement things that are quite janky. But the Evil Within is quite a different game, but it takes the jank to the next level. So, like, there are stealth elements, and when you sneak up behind an enemy and kill them, like, you enter a cutscene to do that every time. And the cutscene doesn't account for where you are in the level. So if you're sneaking up behind an enemy on a staircase, you just elevate to wherever the enemy is and walk up and stab them in the head. And it's so janky, dude.
What happens when you come out of the cutscene? Do you drop back down? You fall through the air?
You drop back down and you the animation's also janky. So like you spend, or you can spend, the game does a really good job of giving you an aggressive option and a stealthy option. Yeah. And it's really fun because when you fuck up the stealthy option, the gameplay section isn't over. You can still scrape through.
Yeah.
But because there are some chapters in that game where they're in complete darkness and you do spend a lot of the time crouching, pretty scared. There's no open the door animation if you're crouching. So
Oh,
if you're crouching and you approach a door, you like stand up, open the door, walk a couple of steps through the door, like this is the
yeah.
whole door open animation, and then crouch down again.
Oh,
And it's like you've
that's so
just
funny.
yeah, you've got to embrace it. I think it does a good job of telling you what it is. Like the game does not hide its flaws at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Um,
such a great example of not hiding its flaws because it's such a, in terms of an animator's time doing a door open while crouch animation isn't a great isn't it doesn't take much time. And
right.
then the other part is that it would potentially take time to like implement it, but you've already got the code there for opening the door, so you just need really another state to say is the player crouching, then they're allowed to open the door. I don't know, it doesn't sound that complicated.
Yeah.
So I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
That's wild that they just decided not to put that in. That's
Yeah.
crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the jank is everywhere. But I'm just loving it. I don't know.
Mm.
It's just one of those games where you just kind of feel like they were designed for you
Yeah.
because all the things that don't work are small fry compared to all the things that you like about the game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome.
I'm just having a really good time.
Oh, that's so good. Are you playing it on PlayStation 4?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
nice. I really wish they would add like proper Discord support for PlayStation because it's one of my favorite things is like hanging out on Discord with the bros and like playing some games and when you're not there to like catch up or like chat about anything in particular, you're just in one another's space sort of while you're playing games. And
Right.
I would love to hang in on Discord and watch you play through Evil Within, but there's no support for that. You just have to sit in an audio call.
Oh, so
Yeah.
so when you hang out, you can actually see what other people are doing on the screen.
Yeah, it's just like a screen share, like in Zoom or whatever. You
Oh,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
hang out on Zoom and screen share and put the game on the screen. And
Oh, that's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. It's one of the more I don't know, maybe it's like a pandemic thing, but I remember doing that a lot through the pandemic with some Discord friends, just sitting around playing games, watching them play games, watching movies on Discord. Just a
Oh,
real
that's
good chill
awesome.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, cool, man. So what have you been up to? How's your week been?
Yeah, my week was good. What did I get up to? I don't really remember. I did a lot of I did a lot of freelance. They're sort of approaching the end of their production now, and so they're trying to like bring on extra people just to like squeeze in the last few drops of production they can before they lock
Yeah.
content and so yeah, it's getting a little spicy, a little close to the wire. But it's been good. What have I been playing? I played a little bit more Hunt. I haven't been playing any more Dead Cells on the train. I've just been, I don't know. I've had a weird like media consumption thing. I realized the other day that like I sit on the train, I like scroll Twitter or TikTok or whatever, and then I get off the train. Like, and I could be watching movies or like
Oh,
reading or
yeah.
doing something productive with my brain. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's just the sort of weird habit that I'm in.
Yeah, it's
Playing
it's
Dead
hard
Cells.
sometimes. Like sometimes you just need that, especially when you're working a full-time job and doing freelance. Like I
Yeah,
think you should embrace not pressuring yourself to be productive,
totally.
for at
Yeah.
least 1 hour a day.
Yeah. Oh, it's not even like productivity so much. I mean, it is in a way because I have like guilt around what I'm consuming, which is fun.
Right.
But I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I could be watching it. Like, there's animes that I really want to catch up on, like Attack on Titan. Like, I could just be watching that. Look, the problem that I have with it is it's too hard to watch these series compared to how easy it is to do other things on the train. So like social
Yeah.
media and stuff is just so simple to like get on
Mm.
and look at. Whereas like I need to get on like Kiss Anime or other legal website. What is it, Crunchyroll?
Yeah.
Um, and like sign in, and I always forget my password. And I got a message saying and be like, "Oh, what's the password?" And then it's like I'm nearly there, and then I get like it buffers because the website's really shit on mobile, and it's just like this is bad. This is a bad experience. I need to like have some other way to watch anime on the train.
Yeah, especially compared to opening Instagram,
Yeah,
which takes 1 second.
yeah, instantly there. Yeah, it's just if it was as easy as that, I reckon I would be all over it. Maybe I need to find some way to like get the series on an iPad and just watch it downloaded or something instead of trying to stream it.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. Like long
Yeah,
train rides, I would just have a bunch of movies on there.
yeah, that'll be the play. I have an iPad. I should be using it.
There you go,
Anyway,
bro.
yeah. So that's what I've been doing. I caught up with my friend Laura last night. We went out to Gin Palace and had a couple bevs. And
Um,
yeah, that's been it.
Love it.
Yeah.
That sounds really nice.
Hmm.
I'm so keen on being able to go out again.
Yeah.
I haven't been out to anywhere like other than a doctor's office for like
Mm,
over a year.
mm.
I'm like so keen to sit in a cafe and drink a coffee.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hell yeah.
and and like that's all I do, I'd just be happy sitting there drinking the coffee, watching outside. I don't
Yeah.
even feel I have to bring a book or something.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
can just soak in that Melbourne cafe atmos.
Yeah. Yeah, people have you know how there's like images in people's phones for when they call through to you, like they're like, "Oh,
Oh
you call
yeah.
and then your picture shows up." Your like
Yeah.
mental image in my head is of you in like a cafe like Umberto's or something window just like sitting there drinking coffee, looking out the window. That's my mental
Uh,
picture of
oh,
Darian.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I want to be remembered.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah.
So, mini segue of people who try to create environments that look like trendy cafes, indie game developers.
The way you steered us into the topic just now. Oh my god.
uh,
Yeah, man. I wanted to. So I had the initial like impression of what I wanted to talk about was like a while ago. I remember Jim Sterling. How do they refer to themselves now?
James Stephanie Sterling.
James Stephanie Sterling. Thank you. We were talking about like double A and triple A, and they're always um talking a lot about the issues with like triple A development and like I can even hear their voice in my head right now going triple A.
Triple A.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And then it got me thinking about like how indie gaming got started and like that whole slew of games that came out as like the next generation of consoles happened, and then started thinking about like how there's like a weird bridge in between where like there's heaps of game development happening with like Senua being like the prime example being used all the time for double A. And
yeah,
then I
yeah,
just kind of got thinking more about that and was like, oh, there's that PMG doco which I sent you yesterday or the day before. I'm losing track of time now.
yeah, yeah. That was really good, and it brought up a lot of emotions for me because I've been in that situation
Yes.
under a bully and a manipulative leader who
Yep.
ended up getting fired and experienced the backlash and all the company crap that comes with it. So yeah, that was a great doco.
Yeah.
It seemed intimate in the way that it's impossible for those situations not to be.
Mm.
It's just, yeah, it's so hard to come in to work and compartmentalize your emotions from
Yes.
like, just doing your job. Yeah. It,
Yeah.
it, it was a really good doco, but one thing I actually wanted to start with because I'm super into this topic,
Yeah.
but I probably have more questions than I do content.
That's perfect.
But but one of the things I have is around like what makes an indie game, right? Or like
Yeah.
what makes an indie studio indie,
Yes.
and I was wondering if it's anything like beer. So in Australia, there was a lot of conversations around independent breweries and what actually makes a brewery independent. And this is obviously something that they could only monitor within Australia. I'm sure in
Hmm.
America it's quite different. But in Australia, they decided to basically uh, stipulate a specific dollar amount and literage each year to be considered
Wow,
independent.
that's crazy.
And I was wondering if there's something similar in games. Like, is there a guideline of any description to help determine what's indie and what isn't?
That's a really great question. As far as I'm aware, there may be more info on this out there, but as far as I'm aware, there is not.
Right, so it's the
Um,
Wild West.
yes, yes. In insofar as well, you've got studios like Ubisoft having offshoots of their studio. You know, like they'll make an indie game. You know,
Okay, so this is great because that was gonna be my next point. Like
yeah,
they made Grow Home, which
yes,
is that like game that has procedurally generated animations, um, and it's it was a PlayStation Plus game ages ago, and so I
yeah,
played it. It's like an hour long,
yeah,
and I'm pretty sure it has the Ubisoft logo,
yes.
and
It
that
is developed by Ubisoft.
right. So that inherently makes it not indie, right? Regardless of what the content actually was like.
Mm, mm. So, in just a little quick Google I just did, it's made by a company called Ubisoft Reflections. They have a different logo to Ubisoft, but the little excerpt here on the Google is Ubisoft Reflections Limited is a British video game developer studio for Ubisoft based Newcastle upon Tyne. Founded in 1984, blah 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 blah. The studio focuses on racing games and is best known for creating the award-winning Driver series. So it looks like a
Oh,
literal offshoot from Ubisoft. It's probably like this is I don't really know. I'd have to go and like read the full wiki here, but it looks as though it was you know, like if you've got a large studio like Ubisoft, you've got like a division. You know, like you say, oh, this part of the company handles, you know, our racing games, and this part of the company is going to
yeah,
handle
yep,
our shooting games. And then
yep.
it became in such a way that the racing games became so separated from the development of all the other games. It was like, oh, it's more efficient to run this as an individual studio, and we'll set you up out here somewhere else.
Right.
And so, yeah, even though the number of employees here in 2018 was listed as 240, it pales in comparison to the number of employees that Ubisoft would have. I would say if you've got over 50 employees, it's pretty hard to call yourself indie. Like,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh man, it's so interesting as well because in this example, Ubisoft is both the studio and the publisher, right?
correct. Yes, yeah,
So maybe the definition, if we use that Australian brewery parallel,
yep,
the definition can be based on head count and the need for a publisher, like the need for investors, basically. Is
yeah.
that's what a publisher is, right? They're just like executive producers on movies. They just
They
throw
give
the
you money.
money.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, that's
right.
that they pay the staff. Yeah. So I think, man, there's probably like tiers to the level of purity that you want to go through. It's like vodka with all of the alcohol analogies.
Right.
Here's to the level of like purity that you want to go through when you're talking about indie. You know, you could say indie is someone or a team of people who do not have a publisher. They're entirely self or community funded, right?
Right. So that's your Braid slash the Witness dude.
Yeah,
He's like the 200-year-old Russian distillery.
yeah,
Like he doesn't need no one. He doesn't want no one.
yeah,
He's a one man army.
yeah. Um, and it's kind of a weird one as well because the sorts of like if you were to try and place that sort of definition on top of a studio, it becomes really rigid because you can have a studio of like three people and they may have publisher funding and the sorts of games they make are like less scopy and like large than the sorts of games like The Witness. But they would,
Mm,
and they, as a result, you may consider those to be more indie games, um,
right, I
just
see.
because of the sorts of things that they make. I wouldn't, when I look at games like The Witness, it's kind of hard to put that in in like the indie camp for me a little bit, even
Oh,
though
really?
yeah, yeah, because it's so it's It's so polished. Oh, maybe that's a bad thing to say. I don't
Bro,
know.
bro,
I'm still
Hollow
like,
Knight was made by three people.
yeah.
Don't come at me with polish.
I think polish is the wrong word. I think maybe it's like size or scope or something, because The Witness is huge, you know? That game just like opens up.
It's yeah, it's massive, and it's daunting how big that game is. You start off with a couple of puzzles and you're like, I love this, and then it opens into the free play section and you
Mm,
can just go to a million different places, which is perfect for a puzzle game, really.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying, like the scale is really impressive.
Mm,
But do you think that is because it's in 3D? So,
mm,
like, when I think of 2D games that I would consider have a really big scope, like Hollow Knight, Axiom Verge, like
mm,
there's a lot of game in those games, and they're made by incredibly small teams. But when I think of the scope of a game like that, and I think of animations and graphics and
mhm.
everything that needs to be put together for the game to be complete, I I feel just like there's a tendency to give the Witness the benefit of the doubt because it's in 3D and it just seems like it would
Yeah.
require more, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that's actually true.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, I'm still sort of like fumbling with like how I would define indie. I don't
Right.
really think it's like maybe it's not the most productive label to give. I think a better label would be to say, are you publisher funded?
Right. Okay.
Because that suddenly changes a whole slew of things, you know, like you can have studios that are entirely self-funded or don't have a publisher, and they're just, you know, running off the back of some savings account somewhere, or they're just like funded by
Mm.
a Kickstarter or whatever it is. And that I feel like that is like really like Wild Westy, you know, like we're gonna make whatever we want style thing, right? Where you get a certain type of result, and then there's everyone else, you know, everyone else who is under a publisher who, whether or not the publisher has a huge hand in the making of the game or the decisions around what sort of games get made, there's sort of like a bit of up for debate. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's that part of it too. There's like the other side of the coin.
Yeah, so when I watched that doco yesterday,
Mm,
it seemed like people were expecting a bit of action from the publisher,
correct.
and I didn't really know what to think of that because I just assumed they gave money for a product.
Yeah.
And because I mean, I'm not inside the industry, so
Yeah.
my knee-jerk reaction was like, why would you expect the publisher to do anything? They're
Mm.
just the wallet of the organization and nothing more. But is
Yeah.
that not true?
In some cases, it's less true.
Right.
Yeah, so in some cases, the publisher really. So you've got publishers like Devolver Digital, where they really try to collect weird developers. Like they're like, you know, they're the grungy boys in the back row of the bus who only let you sit with them if you have like a certain haircut, right?
You
Like you
only
really need
listen to
to.
Deftones and Nine Inch Nails.
Exactly.
Then they'll
Yeah,
let you
yeah.
in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
In
even then you still feel like you don't quite fit in.
Yeah, well, it's cool following a publisher like Devolver Digital because when they started out, they didn't have a huge library, and
Mm,
I was like, yeah, I just love everything Devolver publishes. And then they like branch out because they become more successful. I'm like, wow, they
yeah.
really get into some weird shit here.
Yeah, they
And
sure do.
and then they had a hit. You know, they
Yeah.
published Fall Guys, and
Yeah, right. Was
that's
that them?
bonkers. That's
Yeah.
bonkers. You know, they started off with like Hotline Miami, Downwell,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, now I see that come up on a lot of games I play and love.
What else have they done? Let me just have a little peek. Oh, they did
You,
Darkest Dungeon as well.
oh my God, Darkest
Um,
Dungeon, an interesting game.
mm,
A game I wish I liked more than I do.
yep. Then they're doing Cult of the Lamb. My friend Julian is working on that game. I don't know if you've
Cult
seen
of the
that.
Lamb, that's a
Cult of the
great
Lamb.
name.
It looks really cool. Oh, they did Inscription, Death's Door,
Oh, Death's
uh,
Door. Oh,
Minute.
cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird games here that I just haven't heard about. Disc Room looks really cool. I really want to try Disc Room.
Oh, yeah, that looks like um Super Meat Boy, but without the platforming.
Yeah, and like way more violent. I don't know. Well, there were discs in Super Meat Boy. True. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they've got a lot of really, really cool, weird titles. So yeah, there's that part of it as well, right? Where like obviously the wallet of Devolver is not strictly like they actually seem to care about the sorts of products that get made under their name.
Mm,
And
so,
so
sorry, go on.
no, you go.
I was gonna say, is the Devolver relationship with the developer kind of like the producer relationship in a movie where they might see the dailies or they might see the first cut and they're like, you need to change these bits. So like they actually do have a little bit of creative input and
Yep,
it's very hard to convince them otherwise because they're
yep,
giving you $10 million.
yeah. Yes, in some cases that is how it goes. There
Right.
some publishers have like creative divisions that are dedicated solely to reacting to information that's come or like art or products that's come from the developer, and then
Mm-hmm.
they'll give critiques and notes and offer up ideas for changes or demand changes.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
there is a little bit of that happening as well. With when I was on Puzzle Quest, the 505 was the publisher,
Okay.
and they have a whole social division at their company that handles mobile games. And so they have, they say, oh, we're going to take control over the Twitter account, and you guys get XYZ like forums and stuff. And so there's like
Right.
a divvying up of labor in some cases as well, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing that a lot of people don't think about is publishers doing marketing, and so certain publishers will do all of your marketing budget and will handle all the marketing for you, which is obviously a huge part of releasing a video game.
Yeah,
And then
definitely.
other publishers won't. They just say this is all up to you. You market the game, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because like the marketing's how it often is results in like how successful a game becomes. And so I think that
100%.
that'd be more hands on. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah. And that makes me think of the Hollow Knight Kickstarter story,
Mm,
like where they didn't burst out on day one, destroying sales and that kind of thing. And
yeah,
I wonder if it's because they were themselves in control of the marketing and they didn't have that upper hand of, some company with a lot of experience and channels.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean the publisher that was in that documentary, the PMG doco, which I'll put a link in the description for.
Oh yeah, it's worth everyone's time. It's just a good
Yeah,
little 40-minute look um,
yeah,
into indie game development and when it goes bad.
yeah. So hold on a second. Do you want to tell me your sort of thoughts on the doco?
Yeah, yeah, we can do that. Man,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta say, I'm loving this so far. This has just turned into an educational podcast. So we've moved on from the Pokemon hate cast.
Mm.
Oh, by the way, our friend JT reached out to me yesterday. He's been listening, and
Oh,
and he said he was like, "Fuck, you guys are so right about Pokemon."
very good.
And I was like,
Yeah, it's
"Yes,
it's bad, man. It's just
it
bad games.
sucks.
Yeah,
Pokemon sucks." That's gonna be our first merch. It's a t-shirt.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Pokemon sucks.
we've got press X to pontificate and Pokemon sucks. That's what we've got so far.
Oh, it's good. It's good. But I did really like the PMG doco,
Mm,
and it highlighted something for me that I, again, I'm not in the industry, and it just feels like the problems that the three developers they focused on were experiencing are small to medium-sized company problems.
yep,
I really don't feel like they're unique to the games industry.
yep.
I experienced something really similar to what a lot of the staff across those studios experienced, where I worked under this abusive manager who was eventually ousted for emotional abuse and manipulation,
Mm.
and they left with a redundancy package,
Yeah.
and the exec team informed the company that they had left to look after their sick mother.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and
God
and,
damn it.
and it just really, like, seeing that doco really resonated, because rather than acknowledge that she was abusive, and to say to all the staff, hey, this person has left because of this reason, and this kind of behavior is unacceptable. It's weird because it's a win-win,
Yeah,
right? You get rid of this shit person, and you get to inspire trust in your staff, because you
yeah.
get to say, hey, we listened, we got rid of them, this is why we got rid of them, and this is what you can expect in the future.
Yeah.
And
They just
in
didn't.
yeah, they didn't. And in the doco, it seemed the same thing. They just swept it under the rug, and nothing is worse than hearing people talk about how sorry they are. I tried my
Mm.
best to create an atmosphere of openness and blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah,
we're,
yeah.
oh, shut the fuck up. Like, do
Yes.
something about it, or shut the
Yeah.
fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
I just hate how people think talking about what they did in an apologetic manner is enough. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
definitely part of what you should do, but it's
Hmm.
like 2% of the
Yeah.
whole pie. It's hardly enough to start being like, oh, we can reconcile. They're really going through some hard shit after we ousted them. It's like, no, fuck that person. Like, they have to prove that they're worth working for again.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love the story that you have of where you at your previous workplace where there was the abusive boss and you played a fairly instrumental role in getting them removed. I remember like cheering you on so excitedly from the sidelines as that
Dude,
was happening.
oh my god, it was so fucked though.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I developed panic attacks from that
yeah,
relationship, and I was in therapy like frequently for 2 years to just
yeah.
work
Deal with
through
it.
everything.
Yeah,
And it really sounds like, a lot of these staff members are, or should have someone to talk
yeah,
to work through this stuff, because when people gaslight you around the work you're doing, or I would go to meetings and get berated for not doing work that I never knew about.
yeah,
Or,
yeah,
the classic is having them steal your work and take all the credit.
yeah.
And that just fucks you up when
It
it
does.
happens again and again.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's just,
traumatic.
yeah, it's totally traumatic, and it's
Yeah,
so important to not only work through those emotions, but get to the point where you can openly talk about them.
yeah,
And the thing that was really, I think, the most devastating was how afraid everyone was of speaking up
yeah.
because of how it might affect their career. Like, that's an awful position to be in.
Yeah, and I think there was varying degrees of that level of control that some of these folks had over their staff. Like
Mm,
I think, in the three examples that they gave, Ken Wong, Steve Gaynor, and Robin Hunicke, I think potentially the most I don't want to like put them on a scale, but like just in reference to what you were just saying about folks being scared to speak up because of, the power that this person has over so many other people in the industry and just like potentially being like losing their career over making such a move. I think the
yeah.
last person from Funimia, Robin Hunicke, is probably, at least from what I saw from that fallout, because I was seeing that on Twitter like live as it was happening.
Oh, right.
That was maybe one of the worst examples of that particular thing. But yeah, I remember, and I share these feelings as well. Right, like when I left my call center jobs, I had my
Mm,
first like semi animation related job. I worked at a place called Furphy Media, um, and yeah, my boss there was just ridiculously abusive. She was insane. Literally,
she
I think she had like some personality disorder or something. Because yeah, her screaming and slamming doors and all sorts of stuff was just next level.
isn't that disgusting? I remember talking to you quite a bit while you were going through that, And I remember one avenue you found to kind of vent about it was creative writing. Like
Yeah.
we used to do those fantasy
Oh
fictions,
yeah,
and
fantasy fiction.
your first fantasy fiction was just like reaming her in like you
I
know.
printed that at the office. Like, I'm sure there was a way for them to like find that. Goddamn, so funny. I hope she found it.
I
Yeah,
hope she
it's
did too.
yeah, goddamn. But yeah, so and unfortunately, I was in the position where I like she was the boss of the company. She owns Furphy Media, and so there was
Mm,
no taking her away from that position really, unless I would try and go to the courts and have it shut down that way, which I just at the time I didn't have the money or energy for, and so
yeah, yeah,
um, yeah, so yeah, that's why I was so like pumped when you managed to do what you did at your place, and anytime it sort of like made me this like fighter for my friends mental health and their jobs. Like anytime that I can like lend them an ear or like uh, offer them advice on what they should be doing in those circumstances, I'm always so impassioned and ready to fucking draw my blade, like
yeah, yeah.
ready
Well,
to go to battle.
it's one of those things where once you've been through it, your tolerance for people being assholes and getting away with it, or people being assholes and expecting praise for it, the tolerance just drops to zero.
It's zero,
And
yeah.
and so it is absolutely about supporting people who are being abused in those situations and helping people realize that they deserve better.
Yep.
And it's a shitty thing to be broke and without a job, but it's a shittier thing to be abused and have to spend way more money than you would make at that job, working through things in therapy over the
Yeah.
next 2 years. Like it just ain't worth it in the long run.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if it's so hard because when you're in those situations, a lot of the times it feels as though you can work through it. You have this weird like um what's the thing where the people fall in love with their captors? What's that called?
Stockholm
Stockholm?
syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that definitely comes up. Or and like you just mentioned, it's you're scared of being jobless and broke. So the alternative is to work through it, right? Like you can
Mm.
figure it out, or you think it'll
And
only be for a little bit longer, and it's just never. It's always better to just be like fuck this and just walk out.
And that's a societal pressure as
Yeah,
well for that everyone experiences. Where before I got as sick as I am now, I just would never imagine leaving my job without something else set up.
yeah,
And and now that it's almost been a year and I've literally earned $0 for an entire year,
hmm,
like my attitude has just completely changed. It's really spoken to how important your close friends and community are.
yeah,
It's just like, man, when I went down, everyone was like, offering to help and like buying me things and dropping off food, and it just like I was like, oh fuck, that's what's important,
yeah,
not being able to save an extra like 10 grand a year or whatever it
yeah,
is. Like it's
yeah,
just there's so much more that's important, and it's hard to have perspective on that until it happens.
totally. Yeah, yeah, man. I fully agree with all of the sentiments there. Um, so yeah, I don't really know where to pivot out from here.
Yeah, but well, one of the prompts you've got that I really like is there an optimal kind of
uh,
development? And
yep.
and the only point I've got is not working for fucking twerps would probably help optimization.
Yeah, so it's weird because I have conflicting feelings about this, right? Like I think the studio that I'm in now, which is also published by Annapurna, by the way,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
and I've met the folks at Annapurna, and they've had fond interactions with me, and I have nothing but respect for them.
Hmm.
Though I know the stories and everything like that from the doco are damning. I don't wish to say any like necessarily. I don't wish to contest any of the claims made in the documentary or like disparage or encourage Annapurna. I just think that through my own interactions with them, they've been only positive. So that's,
Mm.
that's kind of where I'd like to leave that. But yeah, I think like studios like the one that I'm working for now, published under the publishers that they are probably one of the best circumstances that I've had to develop a video game in my career.
Right.
So I think it's close, like we're so close to having like a really good set. Like I think that sort of like indie, 15, 20 people size studio with like
Mm.
a good publisher is like kind of the prime time. I think you get the
Right.
best results. I think you make the best video games. There's like really fun, creative, weird stuff getting made under those exact same circumstances. I think smaller than that, you can get a little bit kind of auteurish and maybe even a little bit
Hmm.
like lost sometimes. Like I think of
Yeah.
The Witness and how just like over the top that that game went. It was just like almost unplayable by a large number of people just because of how abstract he went. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then you think about the opposite end, like AAA, and it seems as though it's not conducive to folks' mental health to be a part of such a large machine. Like it's the
Mm.
whole idea of the franchise, which I've touched on in previous episodes. It's like doesn't seem like a creatively fulfilling or interesting way to make a video game. It just seems like such a capitalist hellscape sort of product that you're churning out.
Yeah, well, I think that's like I think it's totally valid to pursue something like that, but it really does seem like that's the great divide between triple A and indie.
Mm.
I can't speak to double A as much, but it really does seem like within triple A you can find some anonymity. How do you say that word?
You can be anonymous.
You can be, thank you. You can be anonymous and you
Mm.
can just do your 9 to 5, and that might look like coding or animation or whatever it is. But really, you're just kind of like working down a checklist, and your creativity and your input isn't as important in a role like that.
Mm.
And I think that's totally valid.
Yep.
Like I've worked with a lot of people who do just want their job to be that, so that they can, enjoy their life outside of work,
Yep.
or they're in their late 40s, 50s, they're thinking about retirement. Like they don't want to come in and like push things to the limit every day. Like they're
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
happy to come in, do some work, and get paid for it.
Yep.
And I think that's completely fair. But
Totally.
from everything I've seen within an indie development studio, there is creative input from just about everyone. Is
Mm.
that right?
It can be. There's definitely like it depends on the team and it depends on the director and everything like that as well. Like there's all sorts of um, degrees of control that people leading these games allow.
Right.
And that's kind of like I brought it up a couple times in this ep so far, but the idea of the auteur, like their say is final. It's like Hideo Kojima, like that's the kind of prime
Yeah.
example of auteurism.
And going just briefly back to the doco,
Mm.
there was I can't remember who said it, but there was a quote saying something like it was about or like an auteur, and that games have to be made, or like great games are made by
Yes.
pushing boundaries or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I was just like, fuck you. I
yeah.
would happily play shit games for the rest of my life if I knew the people were happy when they made them.
Yeah, yeah. It's a weird. That is really tricky. I think the line that gets crossed is when that person is that auteur or that creative lead is abusive in any way, right?
Mm, mm,
Um, and so like I think it's okay to have a studio that is that has someone at like the creative helm making all the final calls. I think you actually end up with a more visually pleasing thing that comes out at the end. It's usually got like the touch of that person on all of the elements, and so it becomes
mm,
like cohesive. And we're always talking
mm.
on this pod about like, yeah, the cohesion was really good, or like you could tell that everything had like the same brushstroke. Like it's like the aesthetic
Yeah.
vision
Yeah.
of the game, and I think usually that comes as a result of either one or two people having a lot of really like high level creative control, as opposed to everyone on the team sort of throwing their 2 cents in.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I think that is really important,
Yeah,
and especially when you consider things like movies,
oh yeah,
where everyone is basically in service of the director,
yeah,
including the AAA Hollywood actors and blah blah blah. Like it's about the vision of the director and who they choose to do certain things. Like they chose this cinematographer because they want it to look a certain way.
yeah,
And I think it is super important to be able to have and deliver projects that do revolve around one person's
vision,
ideas
yeah.
and vision. Yeah, vision's a great word, but the auteur aspect of it all comes in when they're a fucking dickhead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I think is the main issue. And I just want to make that clear. I wasn't
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
that we need to live in a reality where games are only made in, a communist regime. Like everyone has the same say.
Yes. No,
Um,
I wasn't saying that. I definitely was just showing, there's a positive alternative.
yeah, yeah,
There is
yeah,
there is
totally.
a shinier side to the darkness of the
Y-
authorship. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, but yeah, I think for in terms of like the ideal way to make a game, I think that would probably be it. But yeah, and just to go back on what you were saying before about people who want to just come in and do their job and make the thing. I mean, they're not like actively trying to sabotage the game or anything like that. They're
Mm,
just they come and do their job and they do a great job, and they're usually the seniors. They're not there to like make any big creative decisions. They're just there to take
smashed
names
out.
and kick ass and smash it out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have huge respect for folks like that as well. I think it's there's nothing there's no ill will that I bear towards anyone who takes a job like that. I respect it a lot, and it needs to happen. Like there's I like to think that there's space for everyone
Yeah.
in this land, in this video gamer world.
Yeah,
And
well
so yeah,
that's ideally where we're at within a lot of things, Sports is for everyone,
yeah,
video games are for everyone. Like
yeah,
it's really nice to see younger generations being nonchalant about all the shit that previous generations put on a pedestal,
yeah,
like around gender and sexuality. And it's just like,
yeah.
I feel like while a lot of things are going to shit, like there's also some light to be found in the future.
Very beautiful. But yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. It's gonna be cool to see the sorts of stuff that gets made going forwards. Like anytime there's like a doco like this, or there's there's some bleeding in an industry like in games, where like we have a situation like Ken Wong or Robin Hunicke, where like
Hmm.
a lot of people come forward and say, oh, this person did this to me, and I worked with this person and XYZ, terrible thing happened. There's always, I feel like there's always some, even though it is terrible and traumatic and hurts these people usually again when they have to come forward and tell their story, there's
Hmm.
usually some like not light at the end of the tunnel. That's a really cliche way to look at it, but I think it's like a positive bleed, if that makes sense.
Mm.
It's like an overall like push for better, more sustainable, more ethical situation to do your job in, which I think is always
Yeah,
good.
yeah, 100%. And so you mentioned before that you feel like you're just about at the zenith when it comes to video game development, where you do have a relatively small studio and a publisher that has their fingers in the pie just enough. Um, do you have any scope on how that's changed over the years for indie game development? Like, do you know or can you imagine what this would have been like 10 years ago? Like, is it quite different, or is it kind of looking like the same thing?
Yeah, I actually don't know. I wasn't around. I mean, like, if you look back and look at those games, like the Meat Boy and the Braid and all that sort of stuff that was coming out on the Xbox Arcade,
Yeah.
which is like, I love that era of video games. I feel like that's some weird, like, golden era, right? Where
Br- Bro,
everything on the App Store was cool.
you know why it was golden? It is because it felt curated. Like, have you
Yeah.
been to the Nintendo Switch Online store,
It's
that
yeah, hellscape.
that place is fucked. It's
Yeah.
got 40 million games and less than 1% of them are worth your time. Like, it's
Yeah.
just insane how bloated it is.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you've got, like Mario Kart 8 and then right next to it you've got like hentai card matching game. Like
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
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 There's so much on there that is just designed for like 13-year-old boys boner hunting, and it's like, oh god, like
Yep.
it's like when Sony let Black Tiger onto their marketplace, and it
Yes.
was the beginning of the end.
Yes.
That
Yes.
just some asset flipped bullshit for, I don't know, 20 or 30 Australian dollars.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather pay someone to like stub my toe, and the Nintendo Switch store is an abomination.
Yeah, I think Steam has a similar issue. Look, it's I think as games become more and more creatable, like with Unreal
Mm,
5 releasing like open source stuff that you can just take and use and for free and resell. It's like the MIT license or whatever. Like there's going
yep.
to be just a dearth, like an absolute floodgate opening. I think we've like seen the beginning of the floodgates opening. I think it's only going to become um, more open to a lot of people to throw stuff like that up there in a hope of getting some kind of like viral profit made out of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's bad, but it's also there's like I don't know, there's some good that comes of it as well. It's like you give the everyone in the village like the ability to go fishing, and then you find the real best fisherman in the village as opposed to just having one
Mm.
fisherman, right?
Yeah,
So
it does seem like somehow the gold really does rise to the top. Whether you
mm,
read about it or your friends talk about it, you do tend to hear about the good shit.
yeah, I think there's also stuff that's getting quite lost. Like every now and then I'll like watch a video that like just randomly YouTube recommends to me, and they talk about some indie game and I'm like, man, this looks like exactly what I'm into, and I've never heard about it. I don't know who this studio is. Never heard of
Right,
this publisher, and yeah, here we are.
right.
And so yeah, there's it still feels as though like the point that you made before about curation, it still feels as
Mm,
though curation is poor. Like I think there's got
right.
to be some service, some ability, some board or boards of folks who make it make it like their job to really curate and make sure the
Bro,
stuff is enjoyable.
maybe that's us. Maybe that's our Shark Tank business. We are gonna be able to tell you whether your video game is worth selling.
That's how publishers get made. Oh my
Oh
god.
dear. Oh dear.
So
So
yeah.
bro, tell me about the news this week. What do you
Oh, the
got?
news. Okay, I actually brought some news this week.
Oh, here we go.
Unlike the other week, which I don't remember, I blacked out and just said a bunch of random things. Hang on a minute. Let me just do one little quick Google.
We've got live research. Breaking. This is breaking news.
Yes. Okay. So, do you know the audio company Teenage Engineering?
I don't.
They make the OP1.
Oh yeah, that
Yes.
rings a bell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I
okay.
sent you a picture of it a little while ago, like the desk with my keyboard or that keyboard on it.
Oh, yep. I'm with you. Yep.
Yep. They make really pretty little weird funny little devices. And the OP
Okay.
one is kind of, I think, in my opinion, the coolest looking thing that they've made until they work
Oh shit.
together to make this handheld gaming device called the Playdate.
Oh, I like
And
the
I'm just
name.
gonna send you the website. It's play.date, which I love.
Oh, we're
Put it
gonna
in there.
we're gonna have a live reaction.
Yes. Yeah.
So, is this a switch killer? Is that what
No.
I'm?
No, not at all. They are cornering an entirely different part of a video game market, which is really, when we think about indies, this is pretty much as indie as you get.
Oh, so is this like a Game Boy Advanced resurgence? Like,
Not,
what?
it's
What is this? What is this thing, Joe Tool?
what is this? This is a little yellow Game Boy thing. It's got like a D-pad and two buttons, and it's got a
Yep.
crank on the side which pops out and allows you to spin. That doesn't charge the device. It is if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see it popping out and spinning around. And
Um,
it's just a control that you can use to, in some games, rotate the rotation of a surfboard, or run, or make something go forwards or backwards in time.
oh my God.
It's whatever the developer deems it to be useful for. In some cases, the devs don't even use it at all.
Dear
Um,
viewer, this Game Boy does indeed have a crank, like you're starting an old motor vehicle.
yeah, yeah, it has a
Wow.
freaking crank.
Wow.
Um, and so the unique part of this is that once you have your Playdate and you turn it on, you receive two brand new games every week for 12 weeks.
No
So you
shit.
just get sent these games by these developers who are picked by Playdate, I believe, the company that released this thing, and they just appear on your device as long as it's connected to the internet. You
Wow.
get to play the two new games every week, which I love as a really interesting little concept. You buy the device, and almost like magic, games appear on it that you don't know
It's,
what they are. They're just picked for you.
yeah, it's kind of like an advanced Tamagotchi, where
Yeah,
like everything is on, like you buy it for one purpose, like you buy it for the set of games that you get or whatever,
yeah,
it's got that old school appeal.
yes, yeah, totally. And so you can also go on the various. I think there's like a store somewhere, not a store, just like a website where you can go and download all of the existing games, I think, and any games that anyone else has put up. So the SDK is available just for free. You can download it and make your own games with Playdate and release them.
Wow.
I
Cool.
I don't really know who's making money out of this apart from Playdate for selling the device. Like, I don't think the devs are earning any money apart from maybe some amount of money that Playdate's giving them to actually develop the games in the first place for the weekly
Mm-hmm.
releases.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you just release on the platform, I don't think you see any profit. Um,
Interesting.
so yeah, kind of cool
Yeah.
little weird thing. The one thing that's not great about it is it doesn't have a backlight.
Oh my God. It
Yeah,
doesn't have a backlight?
no,
That,
it's just a screen.
wow. That is fascinating.
Yeah, yeah,
I I never thought I'd see the day where a non-backlit gaming device would
would happen.
would come out in contemporary culture. That's whack. All right,
Yeah,
cool. That's quite cool. A unique gaming dealio.
yeah. So it's been out for I think a year now,
All
and
right.
pre-orders they ship in 2023. So if you want to get one, you can't. Not for a long time.
Great, but if you're listening to this, you know about it, and that's what's
Exactly.
important.
It's 179 US dollars, and I'll put the link in the description, and you can go and snatch it up.
Cool.
Limited to two per person. Absolutely bonkers stuff. So yeah, they're obviously doing well. I think it's also like chip shortage and stuff, which is also causing a little bit of
Yeah.
yeah,
Classic COVID shenanigans.
yeah. Those shenanigans. The next piece of news is a Crazy Taxi remake.
Oh my God, Crazy Taxi. Hey, 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 you're going the wrong way. Follow the arrow.
Follow the arrow.
Oh, I love Crazy
So
Taxi.
yeah, I love Crazy Taxi too. I can't remember which one I played. Like, I think there was several different Crazy Taxis.
Oh
PlayStation
wow.
2 or 3, I can't
I
remember.
right. I played the first one and that's all I remember.
I seem to remember while I was playing Crazy Taxi, there was like an arcade mode where you could go and ride around a maze and knock over pins, like 10 pin bowling. Did you ever play that?
That that doesn't ring a bell, but like we're talking a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like this Crazy Taxi, like I feel like I would have been playing that and the PS2 demo disc side by side.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the era we're talking about here.
yeah. And so at the moment, Sega they've sort of just floated it as an idea. It's not actually going ahead, but they have said, along with the potential revival of another one of its popular titles from the Dreamcast days is Jet Set Radio. I don't know if you ever played Jet Set Radio.
Yeah, yeah, Jet Set Radio. I loved that shit.
I never played it. Was it good?
Okay, so like my story with Jet Set is I had a best friend and one Christmas I got a PS2 and he got an Xbox, because Jet Set was Xbox only.
Right.
And um he was like, I'll bring the Xbox over, and I was like, yeah, cool. And he brought it over and we popped in Jet Set And I was like, this is cool. You're like skating around, tagging things. Like, it's pretty fun. And he had a couple of games, and I picked up this game, and I was like, what's this? He's like, oh, I haven't played it yet. And we popped it in, and it was fucking Halo. So,
Oh,
like, Jet Set was great, but like, when you
Halo stole the
pop in
show.
Halo and you've never played a game
Oh,
like that, and it's co op, it's just like, why
yeah,
were we playing Jet Set at all?
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so like we did eventually go back, and Jet Set's cool and all, but I feel it was just overshadowed by Halo
Yeah.
Co-op.
Well, I think just that it sounds as though, and I'm not sure on this, but it sounds as though it came out on the Dreamcast, so it probably came out a while. The one on the Xbox might have been like a remake or a remaster or something.
Oh, no shit. Well, I think the Xbox one was actually a sequel.
A sequel, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think like there was Jet Set Radio, the first one, and then the Xbox one was Jet Set Radio Future.
Oh, okay. Right, right. I imagine doing much the same thing as the original, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So people are a little bit concerned about this Crazy Taxi Sega remake just because of some of the stuff that Sega's mentioned along with the re-release of this game and Jet Set Radio saying that they're really interested in what mobile games have been doing recently, and they're
Oh,
really
jeez.
keen to see what sort of stuff that they can do with releasing on the mobile platform. And so people are like, oh no, you'll be paying for
Yeah.
like races and skins and all the brand deals and all that sort of shit. So it's
What if they take the shitty mobile concept where they just bleed you for cash and reverse it, where they open up their own bank account and you actually get paid for taking people on taxi rides?
oh my god. So, oh my god, one of these days we're going to talk about the like rise of the crypto video game and like all of that sort of stuff. Maybe
Oh
that'll
my
be
God. Yeah.
another time.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah. So yeah, that's Crazy Taxi. I loved Crazy Taxi as a kid. It was such like a weekend game. You'd like turn it on and hang out, and the music was awesome, and it was just such a light, fun game.
It was so innocent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a time attack. Just get the passengers, pick up another one. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Cool game.
Um, so there is a Sonic sort of pack that they're releasing that has a lot of the old Sonic games.
Oh, yeah.
This
I
is the
think
next
I
piece of
saw
news,
this. Yeah.
and it's called Sonic Origins.
Uh-huh.
And it has a lot of game modes hidden behind paid DLC, which is causing a lot of people strife.
Oh,
Um,
fuck. I saw the James Stephanie Sterling video on this. Oh
yeah,
my God. Like the pre-order bonuses or the deluxe edition bonuses were just fucked.
yes.
So bad.
So I'm looking at a graph, which is obviously put out by Sega because the checkpoints have been turned into Sonic rings. But so with
Oh,
the pre-order, you get the main game. That's all you get with the pre-order standard
okay.
edition.
Amazing.
With the
That's
Start Dash pack,
oh yeah.
you get some free DLC included with the pre-order of standard or digital edition. You get 100 bonus coins in a Sonic
Mate,
game.
this isn't a Mario game. Get the fuck out of here. They're rings. Rings or bust.
You unlock mirror mode.
Which is dumb. Like, I mean, it's not dumb that it's a mode, but it's dumb that you have to pay extra for
Yes,
fucking,
and you
you know.
unlock the letterbox background, which I'm guessing is
Oh,
just like letterboxing with Sonic theming, which
oh
is you
God.
pay extra for. And then there's the Sonic Premium Fun Pack, which is coming soon. I don't know why that's listed like that.
You
But that
can't. They
comes,
haven't even developed it yet.
yeah, that includes the hard difficulty setting.
Oh my God.
This is so dystopian, dude. Character animation in the main menu.
Oh my God. Like, why do they think they can do this though? Like,
Ugh.
Sonic games fucking suck. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry,
Oh,
but
he's saying it.
they suck. It's just like, I don't even think we mentioned Sonic in our nostalgia thing. Maybe we
We
did. I don't know.
didn't.
That feels like a lifetime ago, but holy shit, like the way the screen moves and just keeping track of anything, like there are definitely some good levels that are fun where it kind of mixes this player input versus on rails thing, because
Mm,
like it's just going so fast that you're at the mercy of like the game.
yes.
But man, like Does Sega just think Sonic is fucking awesome and always sells well? Like, it's just
Yeah.
so weird. They seem so out of touch. And look,
Yeah.
it's probably just a bunch of execs that have like ring tattoos around their cocks and they're just like jerking off over their financial returns and they're like, yeah, fuck yeah, 100 coins. You can use coins to buy, power
Hard
ups
mode.
and yeah, like
Yeah. And one of them says hard mode and points at his dick.
that's exactly how that shitty meeting went. Like it's just dumb. It's
Yeah.
dumb.
It's dumb. It's dumb. Camera controls over the main menu islands is an unlockable feature, or a payable feature. Character animation during music islands. I don't know what that means, but again, additional music tracks from Mega Drive and Genesis titles is only available in the classic music pack, and it's the only unique thing that you get as a result of ordering that particular edition of the game. And
Oh
then
my
there's the
God.
deluxe edition, which doesn't even come with everything. It doesn't include the 100 bonus coins. It doesn't include mirror mode, and it doesn't include letterbox backgrounds. So if you really want to get the full experience, you're going to want to buy Sonic Origins Digital Deluxe Edition. Then you're also going to want to get the Start Dash pack in order to get the full Sonic Origins experience. That's the optimized way.
Well,
What are they using?
luckily for us, we want the no Sonic Origins experience, and that's
Yeah.
free.
That's free,
And
baby. You don't got to pay anyone for that.
I highly recommend that experience. It's very good. I can speak personally about this.
I would love to do a Sonic episode because Sonic is such an interesting little blue guy. He basically saved Sega. It's a topic for another time. But and I'd have to
Yeah,
do some research to get you true facts on this. But I listened to a thing recently where when they went over all of the history of the guy and how he saved Sega.
yeah. Look, if you have any information about that little blue bean, and you wish to reprimand me for talking shit about him, um, or they, I don't know if Sonic has a gender, you can email us at it'salmosttheweekendpod at
Ah,
gmail.com.
very good, very good remembering. We've been forgetting the last couple of times.
Oh, look, there's no rhyme or reason to this podcast.
Hit us with the email again. Just I think I cut you off.
It's almost the weekend pod at gmail.com.
Very
No
good.
grammar. I mean, not no grammar. No
No spelling,
punctuation.
no
No
grammar, no words will be accepted.
Just think about that email address and we will receive your thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. Do not type it on your keyboard. Don't even utter it out loud. This is unknowable, unspeakable knowledge you've just attained. It's been a fun
God.
one, dude.
Yeah, love doing this. Oh, dude. All right, well, we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah, let's wrap it.
All right. See you all next time when it's almost the weekend once more. Bye.
Bye.